Hey guys, I'm Madison Mary and welcome back to my channel. So today we have another episode of the Audiobook Virgin. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. Just a quick trigger warning for everyone about this video. The Female of the Species does have trigger warnings for sexual assault, rape culture, domestic violence, domestic abuse. There are a few more trigger warnings for the actual book. I'll leave them in the description box below. So I rated The Female of the Species 4.5 out of 5 stars. However, I will tell you right now, I was tempted to give it 3.5 out of 5 stars, but that is merely because of the male narrator and the way that he sounded. So every single time that the narrator's voice came on and was like, Jack, I was like, oh no. The Jack narrator, whenever a female was speaking, he would try and do like a girly voice, and it was horrifying. It was the worst male pretending to be a girl voice I have ever heard of. And honestly, even when he did other dude voices, it was weird. Like Jack's best friend, his name is Parker. I hope it's Parker. But he always goes, Jack, dude. And that is legitimately how the narrator would say it, and you're just like, oh my god, these characters. Apart from that, freaking loved this book. The reason why I did give it 4.5 out of 5 stars instead of a full 5 stars is because, once again, the Jack narrator, I felt like if you had removed his point of view from the novel, it wouldn't have made that much of a difference. He was a nice addition to the story. It was cool to have his point of view, but if you took it away, it wouldn't have hurt the novel. And because of that, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. So The Female of the Species takes 3 point of views. We have Alex and PK, and then we also have Jack. Jack is the only male narrator. The story takes place 5 years after Alex's sister was brutally murdered and raped. However, even though the police knew who the killer was, he was never officially convicted because of the evidence against him. 3 years prior to the novel starting, he was mysteriously murdered, and no one knows who did it, but everyone kind of is just like, whatever, like, he deserved to be killed, everyone knows what he did. I went into this audiobook not knowing much about it. I was very blind when I went into this, and I honestly believe that is the best way to go into it. There isn't really much of a plot, which is really interesting. Like, there's no set specific storyline within this. Honestly, in my opinion, the main plot line is rape culture and slut shaming. That is the main point of this book, is to expose slut shaming and rape culture. And knowing that, it kind of is just this overarching theme that encompasses the whole story. The story takes place with Alex and PK both doing their senior volunteering or senior project at the animal shelter. So that's kind of how they start interacting and their stories intertwine. And then Alex and Jack's stories intertwine because they're both up for the position of valedictorian, and Alex doesn't really care and Jack really wants it. What I'm going to go on from here about is going to include spoilers into the novel. So if you have not read this book and would like to, I advise that you do not listen to the rest of this because it does give a lot away. So one of the main reasons why I love PK's character so much is because she is such a prominent point in rape culture for this book. There is a party at the churchyard, which is where all the kids go to like drink and do drugs and stuff. One night, PK is kind of just wandering about, no one's really looking after her. She's drinking and drinking. She's pissed off because her ex-boyfriend is with the most popular girl in school. There are these older guys who are there who are past graduates who are doing like cocaine. They kind of come over to PK and start, you know, asking her to hang out with them, and they start ushering her, and she's kind of all in and out of consciousness within her inner monologue. And you know, you're sitting there and listening to it is just, your heart is just beating. You're like, oh my god, like please, like don't let this happen. Like, you know, knowing that this book is about rape culture, you know what these men are trying to do, and it's just like, oh, it's so difficult to listen to, but you're there and you're waiting for it and you're waiting for it and you're listening to poor gentle little PK, who is just this beautiful, delicate little flower of a girl who's so sweet and just tries to help everyone, look for the best in everyone, and these disgusting men are trying to take her away. And then she blacks out, you know, you don't hear anything. And then it switches to Alex's point of view. Or was it Jack's point of view? I think it switches to Jack's point of view, which is actually what makes this scene so phenomenal. This was the part in the book that overall just made me fall in love with it, and it took my breath away, honestly, with the way that Mindy McGinnis wrote this scene. It was heart-wrenching, it was gruesome, it was badass, there was just so much to it, and it kills me, honestly, in the inside. And so what ends up happening is Alex, she's, as I said, a very perceptive person. She's that person who's in the room and is always paying attention to everything, no matter how much is going on. And she sees these guys taking her away, and Jack recalls Alex standing up and saying, just 1 second, there's something I have to do. And she stands up and throws the glass beer bottle at the wall next to the guys, and they stop. She walks over to them and she starts confronting them, and surprisingly enough, this is when you start realizing that yes, Brantley is a bitch, but she's also a good person at the same time. When it comes down to it, she also comes over and follows Alex, and the guys are like, oh, we're just taking her to come hang out with us, she's just a little bit drunk, it's totally fine. And Alex is like, I don't think that's true. And Brantley goes down and, oh, this is what really kills me. She goes down and grabs PK's arm and lifts it up, and it just literally says that it just drops flat on the ground. Brantley goes, no, PK is totally passed out. Like, what are you guys? And this whole thing starts ensuing. And then Alex says, you guys are trying to go off and rape her. And everyone just goes quiet. The guys start confronting her and calling her a bitch and saying, you know, don't throw accusations, and they're coming after her and they're trying to attack her. And oh my god, Alex then attacks the dude. In my own mind, it's an entire whirlwind, but what she does to the guy, like how she beats him up, is so gruesome and detailed. The way that Mindy McGinnis explains how she punches the guy, and in the process of punching him, he has a chain, I think, from his like earring, like an earlobe earring, to his nostril, and when she punches him, it like pulls and like a chunk of his lobe like comes loose. I was walking to class when I was listening to this part, and I distinctively remember stopping, and I was just like, I was speechless. I couldn't even move. I was so entranced and just enthralled by everything that was going on. It was, oh my god, you guys, it's so crazy. I'm just thinking about it now. And then the next day, you know, you have PK waking up. All there is like a scratch on her in the very top of her inner thigh. But like when she wakes up, she freaks out. She runs to the bathroom and checks herself. She's in Alex's house. She freaks out. She starts puking from the thought of it. She's like shaking and crying, and she grabs an entire bottle of isopropyl alcohol and just dumps it on her lower region. Like, she's not wearing underwear, like she literally dumps rubbing alcohol on her like lady parts and this scratch, and talks about the burning sensation. And it was just, oh, it was such a raw scene. And it's a scene that, as the novel continues on from this midpoint, PK has flashbacks of pouring this alcohol onto her body, and it's such a strong visual that Mindy McGinnis creates, and it creates such a strong visual with the idea of like when this happens, how dirty someone can feel. It's something that I personally know that I will never forget, even though I was just listening to it. This is an intense novel, but it is honestly the book that we need. The way that rape culture is just done in this book is, I can't get over it. It's so beautifully done, even though it's such a horrible subject. Like, I think I'm just, the way that I can't even, I'm speechless about the way that Mindy McGinnis writes about this. PK is this real, just normal, like genuine girl, and I feel like that's what just makes you fall for her. Like, she's such a genuine person. She just wants to help people. Like, you know, she becomes friends with Alex. Like, Alex is this girl who's on the outskirts of the entire school, because Alex really she doesn't care for people. After her sister was killed, she lost all trust in people in general, and, you know, PK tries to, you know, break in, and she eventually becomes Alex's friend, and just watching that friendship blossom was just so special, because you see Alex, who was just such a closed off and dark-minded person, kind of start to come to the light, and you you see her starting to, you know, smile and have fun, and you become so invested in Alex's well-being as well, and it's just such a gorgeous thing. One of the things that happens is Alex and PK are talking, and PK's, you know, being a little bit upset and is kind of, you know, bitching about Brantley, and Alex goes, you know what, it's her right. If she wants to go around having sex, she can go around having sex. Like, what's the big deal? She's like, if that's what someone wants to do, that's what someone wants to do. She goes, I think Brantley's a gorgeous girl. She's pretty, you know. Yeah, she can be mean, but, you know, you gotta look at how other people treat her as well. You know, Alex just looks at the whole picture, and even though she views men in such a dark light, she is all about female power, and she tries to actually see the best in all girls. The next thing I want to talk about is Jack and Alex. So the relationship that they formed, they end up becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. I understand why it was included, because it does show that, you know, Alex can open her heart up to men even though she views them so darkly. However, it's a weird way that it kind of comes about. It's more natural from Alex's point of view than from Jack's. He seems to just fall head over heels for her very quickly because she's this one girl in school who like doesn't fawn over him, that kind of deal, and you kind of just like, one girl who doesn't like you and you love her now. Like, ugh, really? But when you see it from Alex's perspective, there is a lot more from it, and the one good thing that really comes out of it is the fact that Jack never pressures Alex. Like, they never have sex at all in the book, and the way that he always asks her and he's like, is this okay? And like, you know, I really appreciated that in the book. I think the last note that I really want to say is the ending. So the way that the story ends is, oh, it's so sad. It's just so depressing. Like, I'm so sad with how it ended, but it makes sense, and that's just so frustrating. Like, it's so frustrating that, like, I'm like, okay, I get why it ends this way, but I'm pissed that it ended this way. So, but Jack and Alex like get back together, like, even though he knows that she killed these people, which is kind of weird. You're kind of like, okay, dude, like, choices. But Brantley is still being a very manipulative bitch, but in a way it's because she loves Jack and she's jealous of Alex. So she calls Jack to meet her at the churchyard and is sitting there half naked in like sexy lingerie and a robe. And he rocks up and he's like, Brantley, what the hell? Like, you told me you had some of my old stuff you wanted to give back to me. And she's like, no, Jack, trust me. And then at the same time, she's called Alex to come and said that she wants to apologize to her. So Alex is on her way there. You see Brantley's idea. However, the three dudes who tried to rape PK show up. And they show up because it's hunting season and they're there with their guns. Two of them try and take on Jack, and then the other one goes after Brantley and tries to like rape her at the same time. This is the same dude who tried to rape PK. And, you know, there's all this struggling and stuff, and next thing you know, they hear a shotgun go off. It's Alex, like, she's walked in because, you know, Brantley called her. She has one of the guy's shotguns, and she shoots the dude who's trying, the main rapist. She shoots him. But at the same time, one of the guys goes to like attack Alex, and she falls off of this thing and she hits her head and she dies. And so next thing you know, you have a dead Alex with her head bleeding out, and you just have Jack over her crying and whimpering, and then you have Brantley in the corner, and then you have PK who runs in and goes to Brantley to try and help her, and it's just, oh, it's so intense. But you see Alex's point of view for like the last few seconds before she dies, and she goes, I always knew I would die this way. I always knew I would die young. I always knew that my fighting would get me killed. And she's at peace with her death. And that really breaks me. Overall, this was just such an amazing book. It shows the dark depths of humanity and how no form of assault is okay. And I loved it, and I also loved listening to it in audiobook form because, you know, sometimes when you read a book, you kind of look ahead like a little bit, but you couldn't do that with this. Like, if you're listening to it on audiobook, you can't like sneak a peek at the next page. And I feel like that suspense as you're listening to these intense scenes just, it just hits you. Listening to it just hits home, and I feel like it just makes it so much more worse. Like, in a good way. Like, listening to it makes it so much more worse, and it just, oh god, I feel so depressed right now. Oh my god, like, it's such a depressing novel, but oh my god, I feel myself getting teary. But it's so needed, because rape culture and like attempted sexual abuse and like it's something that is just not talked about, and especially the way that she goes about the slut shaming, like, it's just not something that I've never seen it so well done. It's a book that has changed me. I haven't been the same after reading this book through and through. Like, it just opens your eyes to so much, and I think that honestly, I would say it's a book that should be included in like AP Lit, or just like for like juniors or seniors in high school to read. I think it should be part of required reading. Anyway, I hope I didn't put anyone into too somber of a mood, but that is my review for The Female, the Species by Mindy McGinnis. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you guys pick it up. Even if that's not your typical type of book to like read or listen to, I just think it's a book that everyone needs to pick up. If you guys did enjoy this video of the audiobook version, please click the like button down below. And if you'd like to see more of me, please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, thanks a bunch, guys. Bye!